The hotel shuttle dropped Lana off at the Ambassador Hotel. The luxurious hotel was among the city's finest, known for its flawless service. A bellhop loaded her luggage onto a cart, handed her a small claim ticket, and gave her a warm welcome. The doorman tipped his hat respectfully and opened the grand brass doors as Lana walked inside, followed by the bellhop at a courteous distance. As she strolled toward the reception desk, she casually scanned the area, hoping to spot Grant, just as she'd asked in the letter she sent him. While she saw several guests lounging in plush chairs and sofas spread throughout the spacious lobby, she didn't see her beloved husband anywhere. Her nerves stirred slightly as she imagined how Grant would act toward her now. They hadn't spoken since the heated phone call he made while she was lying in Eli's bed in Colombia. He had been furious, understandably, but she had essentially given him permission to explore on his own during her 6-week absence. Lana was certain their neighbor, Claire, had taken full advantage of that freedom. Claire and her husband were known swingers, and Claire herself had the kind of sultry confidence that drew glances from every direction. Lana had witnessed men in their neighborhood openly drooling over Claire more than once. Claire had also made no effort to hide her lust for Grant. She practically undressed him with her eyes every time they crossed paths. Lana sincerely hoped Grant had enjoyed the temporary pause in their marriage, but she also hoped he wasn't still engaging with Claire. That chapter needed to close. Lana was determined to end the mutual hall pass agreement now that she was home. Rebuilding intimacy with Grant would be much harder if someone like Claire was still in the picture. A twinge of guilt hit Lana as she realized she hadn't spoken to Grant since that explosive call. Their mission in Colombia had kept her busy, filled with surgeries and travel to help those in remote areas. She felt sympathy for the patients who journeyed great distances to receive treatment from American medical teams. On their days off, when she and Eli weren't tangled in bed sheets, they had gone sightseeing. She snapped photos of landmarks, like the tour of Mount Montserrat, and texted the best ones to Grant with notes describing their activities. She had been a little annoyed that Grant hadn't replied, not even with a thumbs up. Maybe he was still healing. Still, Lana felt sure that his love for her hadn't disappeared. It might take time to rebuild trust, but she believed they could reconnect and strengthen their bond as they entered the next phase of life. Empty nesters, finally focused on each other again. Spending 6 weeks with another man had, ironically, helped Lana appreciate her husband more. While Eli was technically skilled in bed and liked to push her limits, Lana had realized there was no love there. Once the affair was no longer secret, Eli's ego became unbearable. His rudeness, once exciting, turned offensive. He started treating her like a toy to break, rather than a woman to adore. Worse, he seemed to relish mocking Grant and their marriage, asking crude questions, forcing humiliating comparisons, and demanding she say things she never meant. In the beginning, those games had sparked something primal in her. But over time, they made her feel dirty, and not in a good way. When she begged Eli to stop the verbal cruelty, he only doubled down, turning their encounters into degrading performances. He painted Grant as some pathetic cuckold, a man who should grovel at his feet. Lana had stopped pushing back. She'd hoped that ignoring it would make Eli let up. Didn't. By the time their plane left Colombia, Lana felt broken, used and ashamed. Sitting at the Bogota airport, she finally told Eli it was over. She was going to fight for her marriage. He barely reacted. "You're a great woman," he said with a shrug. "But I was getting bored. Ending this is probably for the best. Enjoy your spineless husband." He even switched seats with Penny to avoid sitting next to her for the flight home. Lana couldn't understand what had blinded her to his true nature. Now she just saw Eli as an arrogant user. She was relieved she didn't have to sit next to him. Penny took the seat instead, and they both rode home in silence, too drained to speak much. At one point, Penny confessed that Grant had called her room. He knew she was cheating on her husband Blake with one of the other doctors. Fortunately, Grant had promised not to tell Blake. Penny knew Blake wouldn't forgive betrayal. She was grateful for the close escape and enjoyed the rest of her time in Bogota despite it. Back in the airport, while they waited for their luggage, a young woman approached Penny and asked, "Are you Penny Weller?" Confused, Penny said yes. The woman handed her a manila envelope and said, "You've been served. Have a good day." Lana watched in shock as the woman stepped back and snapped a photo of Penny holding the envelope. Penny broke down sobbing. Lana and other travelers tried to comfort her with gentle words like, "Maybe he'll forgive you," and "You can talk this through." But everyone knew Penny's marriage was over. Penny eventually gathered herself, though her calls to Blake were now blocked. Unsure what to expect at home, she took an Uber to her parents' place, which wasn't far from where she and Blake lived. Meanwhile, Lana kept glancing around nervously, half expecting someone else to pop up and hand her a similar envelope. Thankfully, no one did. Customs had already been handled at the previous airport, and it took time to retrieve their bags. But there were no other surprises. She began to relax a bit. Maybe Grant had cooled off since their argument and would meet her soon. Lana couldn't wait to rebuild her love and life with Grant, the only man she'd ever truly loved. "Hi, I'm checking in. There should be a reservation for Lana Weston," she said to the nice young man. The clerk smiled and began typing on his keyboard. "Let's see. I have your reservation for one night. Does that sound right?" "Yes, just one night. I've got you in a room on the 10th floor with a cityscape view. It's quite lovely. How many key cards will you be needing?" "Well, I'm pretty sure my husband will be joining me, so you'd better give me 2 cards. Okay, what credit card would you like to use to cover the room and any incidentals during your stay?" Lana reached into her purse and pulled out her visa, handing it to the clerk. "Here you go." "Thank you, ma'am. Let me take care of this and we'll get you settled in. I see our bellboy, Aaron, already has your luggage and will be happy to assist you to your room." "Thanks. I do have a few bags, and my husband's not here yet to help, so that'd be great." The bellboy, standing nearby with her suitcase cart, waited to escort her up. Her original plan was for Eli to drop her off, but taking the hotel shuttle had been a smarter move after cutting things off with him. Besides, if Grant had been in the lobby when she arrived, seeing Eli would have ruined everything. The clerk nodded as he inserted Lana's visa into the reader and grabbed a pair of blank key cards to encode. After a moment, he frowned. "I'm sorry, Miss Whitaker, but that card has been declined. Do you have another one you'd like to try?" A sick feeling settled in Lana's stomach. She hadn't used her cards in Bogota. The Doctors Without Borders team had covered expenses, and Eli had paid for anything extra. She'd only brought 2 cards on the trip, her visa and a Discover, and had kept both, along with her passport, locked in the hotel safe. Could someone have skimmed her card number while she was away? "Sure. Do you accept Discover?" she asked, handing the card to the clerk and retrieving her visa. "Yes, ma'am. Let me run this one, and we'll have you on your way in no time." By now, another couple had joined the line behind her, waiting to check in. The clerk attempted the Discover card, but again looked up apologetically. "I'm sorry, but this one's been declined too. Do you have anything else?" Lana felt her cheeks burn. The young couple behind her looked annoyed, clearly irritated by the holdup. She took a breath and forced a polite tone. "I'm afraid those are the only 2 cards I brought. I've been out of the country for 6 weeks. Something must have happened. Let me step aside and call my husband. I'll sort it out." The clerk gave her a courteous nod. "Very well. I hope everything works out. Let me know if I can help with anything." Lana moved away toward a nearby sitting area as the couple behind her began their check-in. The bellboy left her luggage cart behind and grabbed a new one to help the couple instead. In less than 2 minutes, Lana had gone from a VIP guest to someone gently pushed aside. She reached into her purse for her phone, remembering she'd turned it off for the flight. Between dozing off and the scene with Penny at the airport, she hadn't turned it back on. She powered it up and typed in her passcode, assuming there'd be messages waiting, hopefully from Grant. But there were none. No missed calls, no texts. She opened her phone app and tapped the photo of Grant in her favorites list. Eli was still on that list too, she noticed grimly, and silently vowed to remove him after this call. Instead of a ringtone, when she put the phone to her ear, Lana heard an automatic voice message indicating that Grant's phone had been disconnected and was no longer in service. What the hell? Lana thought, pulling the phone away from her ear and staring at the screen. Just then, a man she had briefly noticed sitting in one of the lobby chairs when she entered approached her. "Excuse me, ma'am, but are you Lana Whitaker?" Somewhat startled, she looked up at the man in a sharp suit, her eyes narrowing with fear. "Yes, I'm Lana. Can I help you?" "No, ma'am, but I have something your husband Grant wanted you to have," he replied, handing her a large manila envelope. As soon as Lana took it, the man nodded and said, "Have a nice day," then turned and walked briskly toward the hotel exit. She trembled as she held the envelope, but she felt a flicker of relief. He hadn't said the dreaded words, "You've been served," nor had he snapped a photo of her holding the envelope. Maybe Grant had arranged some kind of surprise instead? Maybe he just wanted to meet her somewhere else? With cautious optimism, Lana moved quickly to the nearest plush lobby chair, sat down, and opened the envelope with growing curiosity. Inside was a typed letter, and a smaller, stiffer envelope tucked behind it. She took a deep breath and unfolded the letter. "Lana, I'm not a coward, but as a man, and as your husband, your shameless disregard for our marriage and the vows we once took shattered my heart. You seemed to justify your betrayal by assuming that I had a passionate affair with Deidre while we were serving overseas in Iraq. I didn't. I do regret that on one occasion, we acted in a way that definitely wouldn't pass the spouse test. It happened right after our convoy was ambushed by insurgents. Deidre and I were lucky that day. Many of our comrades weren't. We came back to base wired with fear and adrenaline, overwhelmed by the trauma. After debriefing, I walked her to her quarters. As I turned to leave, she threw her arms around me, sobbing uncontrollably. I held her, trying to comfort her. Then she pulled me down into a kiss. Passion overtook us. For a few intense minutes, we made out like reckless teenagers. Yes, I was weak. I should have stopped it. But Lana, we never had intercourse. That incident was heat of the moment. One mistake. Nothing like your well-orchestrated, long-running affairs. Since the day we said, "I do," you've been the only woman I've been intimate with in that way. Can you say the same? Lana's heart pounded. Her palms were slick with sweat. Besides Eli, I know for a fact that you were involved with someone else while I was stationed in South Korea. Someone tipped me off that you'd been sneaking over to the Red Roof Inn near the hospital. You claimed the parking was better there due to construction, but you regularly arrived hours before your shift. I hired a private investigator. He couldn't identify your mystery man, but you and I both know the truth. Only you know how many times you've broken our vows. And yet, for some stupid reason, I gave you a pass. I was overseas. You were lonely. You ended it when I came home and you kept it hidden, at least back then. But now you write me letters as if our marriage is open by default. As if any spouse can just make decisions like that without even asking the other. Brilliant logic. For the record, no, I didn't sleep with Claire. The idea that you tried to offer her to me as some twisted consolation prize made me sick. I did, however, invite her and Victor over for dinner while you were gone. What a surprise to learn from Claire that you had already been having an affair with Dr. Eli and wanted us to join the swinger lifestyle. Also, you should know that Claire thought you had already told me about your activities, and she was upset to learn that you hadn't spoken to me first. She and Victor both said that cheating is not part of the open marriage lifestyle. Seems the first rule of being a swinger is to be completely open and honest with your spouse. Needless to say, Claire and Victor aren't very happy with you. They don't condone your selfish behavior. I suppose with your new rules, you didn't feel the need to run anything past me before making your decisions. It would have been nice to know we were suddenly swingers, even though you're the only one sleeping with someone else outside the marriage. Knowing Colombia can be dangerous, and that the amazing Dr. Eli was taking such great care of you, I took the liberty of paying off and then canceling all of our joint credit cards. Wouldn't want some slimeball taking advantage of you now, would I? Remember years ago when we met with that estate attorney to set up wills and other documents? I had nearly forgotten that she also drafted durable powers of attorney for both of us. We signed them that day. Well, after our little chat while you were still in Eli's hotel room, I decided it was time to change some things. Specifically, I used the POA to update my life insurance beneficiary from you to our children. I found the documents while going through our files. Surprise, they were still legally binding. Worked like a charm. I must say, I really like this unilateral decision-making relationship. Thanks for the inspiration. Don't worry, I only used the POA once. Then I shredded both copies so neither of us can use them again. You're welcome. See, I needed it to sell our home and both cars, since everything was jointly owned. Relax. I honored my fiduciary duty and got fair prices for your share. Remember that young couple, Reed and Emily Coleman, who loved our house and mentioned they needed more space for their growing family? Guess what? They own it now. They're thrilled. I told them you were on an extended overseas assignment and couldn't attend the closing, so you didn't get a chance to wish them well in person. Stop by sometime. I'm sure they'd love to thank you. As for the cars, that was even easier. I just took them to a few dealerships. Got paid in cash. The salesman told me my vehicle would flip quickly. I was happy for them. I also picked up a new phone with a new plan and a new number. Canceled my old line from the family plan. Can't recall the new number offhand. Maybe I'll text it to you someday. Now you'll be happy to hear. I've decided not to divorce your cheating ass. I don't care about divorces. I have no plans to remarry. I did, however, use part of the money from the home and car sales to hire a private investigator in Colombia. Got some very telling audio and photos of you and your precious Dr. Eli. Maybe that organization should rename itself to Doctors Without Morals. Speaking of your cheating backside, I had no idea you were into such filth. I truly hope you rinsed your mouth out thoroughly afterward. But I didn't think I should keep your secrets to myself, so I shared the report and photos with HR at your hospital. While you and Eli were mid-flight on Friday, I had a phone call with a very polite woman named Mrs. Holloway, the hospital's HR manager. She was shocked by my story, upset even. I told her I planned to sue the hospital for failing to enforce the morality clause in your employment contract, and for contributing to the collapse of our marriage. I also let Mrs. Holloway know that a courier would deliver copies of the report and photos to her desk early Monday morning. I mentioned the delivery would include a short signed agreement stating that I would agree to hold the hospital harmless for your extracurricular activities if they agreed to terminate the employment of you and the good doctor for cause, and further agreed to not provide either of you with good references for future employment elsewhere. She sounded very interested in helping the hospital avoid liability, which could damage both its reputation and its bottom line. I think your first day back on Monday will be quite the experience. Just like you never mentioned we were in an open relationship before running off on your 6-week tryst with Doc Smarty Pants. I failed to mention that I always dreamed of roaming the country before I got too old to do so. So I'm doing it. An extended solo road trip. I'm estimating at least a year, maybe even longer, to knock everything off my bucket list. A friend of mine from the service is letting me rent a pretty sweet RV. And since it's under his name, good luck tracking me down by registration. Downsizing for RV life? Yeah, that was serious. I kept the essentials and packed the RV. Everything else? Gone. I didn't want to disturb your quality time abroad by calling to ask what you wanted to keep. The one time I did call, you and Dr. Eli sounded irritated. So I figured I'd skip further interruptions. I sold the furniture, offloaded my tools, donated some clothes. And your wardrobe? Donated and forgotten. Oh. And I had a cozy little bonfire in the backyard to burn the rest of the keepsakes. Wedding photos. Your dress. Pictures of us together. All gone. I did keep the kids' childhood photos. Who knew burning pictures created that much smoke? Ron, from next door, popped his head over the fence to check if everything was okay. I told him I was having just one bonfire, if he didn't mind. He didn't mind at all. And now that we're in an open relationship, I won't have to turn down female companionship during my travels. Thankfully, the military kept me in decent shape. From Claire's comments, I gather I still have some appeal. I told the kids about your affairs and about my decision to hit the road for a while. They were sad, but they understood. They asked me to send photos and updates along the way. I promised I would, as long as they don't share my new number with you. They agreed. Don't worry, though. I told them I'd call you just as often as you called me while you were off in Colombia with your precious Dr. Eli. Think I forgot to mention that your number of calls was 0. So, I'm taking my extended solo vacation starting the day you return. Don't worry, I plan on taking my extended solo vacation just once, if you don't mind. And yeah, travel will be pricey. That's why I took the liberty of pocketing the money from selling the house and cars, and I also cleaned out our joint bank accounts. I left your retirement account untouched, but mine, I cashed it out and paid the early withdrawal fee. You know, this open relationship thing is really enlightening. If you ever grow tired of it and want a permanent separation, maybe to marry the good Dr. Eli, feel free to file for divorce on the grounds of abandonment. Since I'll be gone for at least a year, it should be easy. I won't contest it, and I won't try to change the reason to infidelity, though I'd be justified. I've already taken what I needed from our marriage. 2 great kids, some decent memories, and a healthy pile of cash. Also, I've got digital copies of all the photos the investigator in Colombia captured. Don't worry, I didn't keep them to myself. I've already shared them with our friends, coworkers, and extended family, so no one assumes I vanished for no reason. I picked out a few highlights and sent them via email to every contact in both our address books. I even thoughtfully CC'd you, so the next time you check your inbox, you'll know exactly what I sent. Finally, for some dumb reason, I was feeling a bit generous when I put this letter together and got you a $500 Visa gift card that is also in the smaller envelope. I hope you appreciate the gesture. This letter is likely the last correspondence you'll receive from me, so I'm giving it to you just once, if you don't mind. And so we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected? Or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'd love to know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk about it. If the story kept you intrigued, go ahead and smash that like button. And if you're new here, or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our storytelling community. I post fresh, gripping tales every single day, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.